Hi students, it's Mr. Nguyen here. Thank you for joining me. Today we are going to work on solving absolute value equations and then we're going to graph the solutions, okay? All right, let's start with this one easy example here. I'm going to do just a few and I'm going to walk you guys through a few different types of problems. Okay, so first thing we need to remember is that there are whenever the equation is equal to a positive number, we have two cases, right? We have a positive case and a negative case. So we're going to do case one where it's positive. So q minus 1, so that's a q right there, right? That's not a 9. Minus 1 equals to the positive case, and then q minus 1 equals to the negative case. Okay, so it's negative 1. Um, and so we're going to add 1 to both sides in both equation. We're going to add 1. So for the first equation, if I add 1, I will get 2, right? So q equals to 2 for my first case. And then here, if I add 1, the negative 1 and the plus 1 will be 0. So my second case, q will be 0. Okay, so these are my two solutions. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to plot one at 0 and one at 2. And I am done. Submit. Perfect. Okay, let's start with this one. This one is a repeat. Again, you're going to split it up and add 5 to both sides. So I'm going to jump level real quick just to show you some different ones. All right, for this one, you can see that the negative 9 and negative 72 could be factor. There's a factor that you could factor out of that. So they both have a negative 9 as their common factor, right? So I'm going to factor out a negative 9. However, that negative 9 is in the absolute value, okay? So, all right, let me clear that and write it again, make it look nicer here. So I'm factoring out a negative 9, okay? And what's left inside, now you have to treat this kind of like the parentheses. So if I factor out a negative 9, I will have p left, right? And then a negative 72, factoring out a negative 9 will actually leave me with a positive 70, not positive 72, positive 8. Because 8 times 9 is 72. So I actually have a positive 8 left inside. Okay. And all of that is equal to 27. Okay. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to simplify this equation so that I could actually solve it, right? So I'm going to isolate this absolute value right here so this turned out to be a 9 right here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by 9. Okay, to get rid of that 9 so that my absolute value is actually by itself, right? So when the absolute value is by itself, that's when you can start splitting into two cases, right? So 27 divided by 9 is 3. So now I'm going to have my two cases. P plus 8 equals to 3, which is the positive case. And then P plus 8 equals to negative 3. Okay, this is very important to remember because inequality is going to be kind of similar to this later on when you learn about inequalities. So here, if I subtract 8 on both sides, I actually get my first solution to be negative 5, right? So P equals negative 5. And then if I subtract 8 over here, my other solution will be negative 11. Okay, negative 11. So those are my two, and I apologize for the handwriting. My mouse is not working very well right now. Negative 5 is right here, and negative 11 is right here. Okay, and we're going to submit. Okay, so guys, when you're doing this by yourself, you actually have to work out the problems before you can graph the solutions, okay? Here is the case where we have it equal to 0. Every time you are in your equation is equal to 0, you only have one case. We don't have the positive and the negative case because 0 is just 0. There is no positive 0 and there's no negative 0. So it's actually rather easy. we just set the equation equal to 0 and we solve it normally. So our one solution is actually going to be 90 because I'm adding 90 to both sides, right? So I only have one solution here, which is 90. So that's pretty easy. Whenever your equation is set to 0, okay? So submit. One case. Perfect. Okay, so here's one where you actually these are the kinds of problems that I like because they're more involved, right? So here I have to clean up the inequality, not inequality, the absolute value. That means I have to remove everything away from it, right? Everything that's outside of the absolute value needs to go away from it. So that means I'm going to add 6 first. Before you even try to split it into 2 cases, you have to clean everything around it, okay? So now I have S plus 61 absolute value equals to negative 1 plus 6 give you a 5, a positive 5, and now you split it into 2 cases. So you have S plus 61 equals to positive 5, and S plus 61 equals to negative 5, okay? So now you're going to go, okay, well, I'm going to subtract 61. I'm going to subtract 61, okay? So on the first case, I actually get a negative 50, what? 6. Sorry, my brain goes blank there, right? 56 plus, yeah. And then over here, I actually get negative 66, right? So 2 solutions there. And I'm going to select those numbers. So negative 56 is right here, and negative 66 is right there. Okay, so those are my 2 solutions. Submit. Perfect. Okay. This one, same thing. We're going to remove the negative 3 first. So it's going to be 5 when it goes over there. So I have 5 equals to absolute value of u minus 65. And again, I'm going to split it into 2 cases, right? So the first case is 5. The positive case is normal, u minus 65, okay? And then the other case will be negative 5 equals u minus 65, right? Now the inverse operation is going to be the same on both. So you're going to be adding 65 to both sides in both equations, right? The answer is different. Okay. So 65 plus 5 will be 70. So my first solution is 70. And my second solution is actually 60, right? If I add these, I would get 60. So that's my other solution. So I'm going to graph those 2 points, one at 70 and one at 60. Submit. All right, I'm going to jump level so we can get to the challenge zone. All right, in the challenge zone, we see that we have a negative here, okay? So you can treat this as let's say a variable. So if you are solving for this variable, you need it to be positive. So I am going to move the whole entire thing over here to make it positive, and then I will move the negative 38 back, right? So I'm just switching side so that this actually becomes a positive absolute value. So I'm going to have 7 plus 38, because I'm moving the negative 38 back, equals to positive value, positive absolute value of z plus 15. Okay, that's how I take care of that negative. I take care of that negative by just moving it, right? Moving it to the opposite side. So now I'm actually ready to simplify and split it into 2 cases. So I have z plus 15 equals to 45, I believe. Okay. And then you split it into 2 cases. So the first case is the positive case. So you have 45 equals to z plus 15. And so, of course, you're going to be subtracting 15 from both sides, right? So your first solution is actually going to be 0 to 30. So the first solution is going to be 30. And then the second solution would be the negative case here, negative 45. Sorry, let me rewrite that. It's messy. 45, there you go, negative 45 equals to z plus 15. Now, we already have negative 45, and then now we're going to put another negative 15 on there. So together, it's going to be more negative, right? So this is actually going to be negative 60, rather, right? Negative 45 plus negative 15 is negative 60. So those are my two solutions that I'm going to graph, one at 30 and one at negative 60. Submit. Yay. Okay, so I'm gonna try one more, guys, and then this one is very involved. So if you can solve this one right here, you could pretty much do everything. um, so here we go. We are going to remove first the 3 over here. Okay, so once you remove that 3, it's actually pretty nice. It becomes 0. So my equation becomes 0 equals negative 5 absolute value of 6d minus 60. Okay, so well, what's nice about this is you only have one case because it's equal to 0, right? Now, you are going to need to get rid of this negative 5, so I'm going to divide by negative 5 on both sides. But here's the thing about 0 divided by negative 5 is still going to give you 0. So that negative 5 really didn't do anything to the equation, right? And then 6d minus 60. Okay, and you could factor out the 6 if you want to from both of these because the 6 is a common factor. But in this case, it really doesn't matter because the equation is equal to 0, right? So the equation is equal to 0. You only have one case, so you're just going to do 6d minus 60 equals 0 and just solve the equation that way. Okay, so you're going to add 60 to both sides. You're going to get 6d equals to positive 60. And then you're going to divide by 6 on both sides. So d would equal to 60 divided by 6 will give you 10. So our solution here is 10. So I'm going to go over here and click on one solution. It's 10. Submit. Perfect. All right, guys. I'm going to stop here. You guys try this on your own. If you get to a 95 or a 100, that is awesome. Let me know if you have any questions, and I thank you for your time. I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.